my god, hi. Welcome back to another video. Today, I am going to be swapping routines with CK Jensen. A while back, I was doing a live stream and CK and Araya popped into the chat. We were talking about different types of challenges that I could do, and it came up that we would try swapping routines. So the three of us got together and we did a three-way swap. So I am doing CK's, CK is doing Araya's, and Araya is doing mine. I am running a little bit behind already, but I wanted to briefly go over CK's general agenda for every day. I've got some screenshots of their routine saved to my phone here. Give me just a second to pull that up. They wake up at around 6 o'clock because their cat is a menace, and they don't really get going until around 7 o'clock realistically. Now, I don't have a cat, I have a dog. So I got up at 6 a.m. and I did take him outside, and then I started getting ready for the day. They make a breakfast sandwich. So I am gonna make breakfast, but I don't actually have any bread. I really need to go grocery shopping. So I am going to make like eggs and cheese and just like some other goodies in there. I think the most important piece of this puzzle is not what they eat, but what time they eat. So in just a minute, I'm going to make breakfast. I'm going to get my coffee and get all set up and everything. They did say that they do try their best not to scroll while they eat, which is something that I do every single time I eat a meal. So that's going to be interesting. And then they jump right into work for the day. They didn't really provide any specific time frame on when they actually start working, but I'm thinking it'll probably be around like 8:30-ish. They did say that work looks like either drafting, brainstorming, or revision depending on the project at the time. And then if they get tired of drafting one project, then they'll skip to revision in another. I am strictly going to be working on Project Reaper today because I am not ready to start revisions on Project Daydream. And then they do freelance work, part-time job stuff, and job applications for full-time positions. I don't have any freelance work, so I think that my YouTube channel will kind of supplement that part of the routine. And I don't have a part-time job either, and I'm also not in the market for a new position at the moment, so I won't be doing any of that for the most part. They work until noon and make lunch. They said that they don't make lunch as regularly as breakfast, so I think what I might do if I'm hungry around that time is just do like a protein smoothie or something, just because I don't have any groceries. And then they start a second work session. They go out to their favorite bookstore, cafe, or library in the afternoon. Bonus points if they get a friend to meet up with them after work, or to work, excuse me. And they always get a seasonal matcha, so we'll be doing that. They are usually home around 4 or 5, and then they use the evenings for fun times and making dinner and things like that. I'm gonna be like slightly modifying this routine. There are things that I absolutely have to do throughout the day, and one of those is make sure that my dog is getting enough exercise. So I'm thinking what I'm gonna do is for my afternoon work session today, I'm gonna go over to my friend Holly's house and we're gonna work outside in her backyard. I'm going to stop on my way there to pick up a matcha though, because I want to make sure that I'm getting that part of the routine in there, even though I'm not really a huge fan of matcha. And to be fair, I've only tried it one time, so I can't really say for sure if I'm not a matcha fan. I think I need to try something more than once to really make a judgment. But the one time that I had it, I wasn't a huge fan. I'm more of a coffee drinker, so this should be interesting. I am going to try it and I hope for the best. But like I was saying, I think I am going to go over to a friend's house this afternoon for the second work session, just so that my dog can have a place to kind of run around in. And then in the evening, instead of maybe playing video games or something, I might take him on a WALK. They said that they usually go to bed around 9 o'clock and fall asleep around 10 after reading. That I can absolutely do. I do have a live stream this morning with Cody the writer and with Kara on paper, so I will be doing that for this portion of the morning writing session. And then nothing planned for the rest of this time though. So tomorrow, when I do day 2 of this routine, it's going to be more aligned, I think, with CK's writing routine. So without further ado, let's make some breakfast. Before I jump into the live stream, I did want to just briefly touch base with you guys about the project that I'm working on today. So I'm not currently revising Project Daydream, and if you're new here, I just finished writing a first draft of a sci-fi dystopian novel, and I'm not working on that. If you guys didn't see my introduction to my new project, the new project that I'm working on is called Project Reaper, and it is a dark fantasy with psychological and paranormal elements, and it's about a girl who lives in a world where they trade power for goods, and she's the only one without power, so she's kind of in a bad place at the very beginning of the book, and she works for somebody who is very unethical, for lack of a better term, and he does something that really upsets her, and she snaps, and when she comes to, she is inside his body. And I am currently in the brainstorming and character development, world development portion, so I'm like right at the very beginning. I haven't written any words for this other than character backstory, and that is going to be what I'm working on today. More character backstory, more world building. I think for the most part I do want to focus on really adding depth to my characters, making sure they're really fleshed out and complex and not just like one note, so that when I enter them into the story, they're coming to me whole and I know how they'll react in whatever situation. Also, I really want to work on creating and fleshing out the magic system. I did talk a little bit about this in my introduction to Project Reaper video. If you guys want to watch that, the link will be somewhere up here or in the description. I'm calling it weaving magic, but they're not actually weaving. So if you've seen A Discovery of Witches, it's not exactly like that. It's just innate power. They don't have to pull it from anywhere. It's based off of the 4 elements: earth, air, fire, water. But there are other types of weaving magic that also exist in this world, and I really want to figure out what those are and what the details for each of those powers are, just so that when I start writing, I'm not making things up as I go, because that's like the whole point of brainstorming and outlining beforehand, right? I hope so. I'm sure some things will come to me as I go, but I'm hoping for the most part I'm gonna have a good majority of it kind of figured out beforehand, because I don't want to sit there in a scene and have to like think for 4 hours on the first sentences that I'm trying to write. I'm also going to be recreating a map at some point, because if you did see my last video, I did have a map that I created. It wasn't finished yet, but I was starting it, and unfortunately I lost that file, so I have to start that from scratch, but it's okay. I can always start over. It's not the end of the world. The live stream starts in about 50 minutes, but I want to get a head start on some of this stuff, so I'm actually going to turn you guys off and get working on that, but I will see you guys in the live stream, and then we'll talk a little bit more kind of in between after lunch, I think.
Do you want a cupcake?
With a t-shirt on, I'm pretty sure belongs to a stranger. Last night I know we laughed too hard. I think we spilled some drinks and tattooed some ink. Wild hearts don't waste no time. When we live the nights no one remember. I sing the blackout blues, but there's a smile behind these cloudy eyes. And I don't know about you, but I take it.
Earlier today, I had a live stream with Cody and Kara. We had some conversations because I'm obviously outlining this novel, Project Reaper, and that is really against the grain of what I've done in the for my past projects. And I was talking to them about the struggles that I was having, because I am finding it really difficult to adjust to the idea of front loading all of the creative work and thinking of all of the things that are going to happen in the story before I actually start writing. I typically know a sentence to start out with, one small fragment of a sentence that usually spurs from a little spark of an idea, and when I type that out, the next sentence reveals itself to me, and so on and so forth, until I've written a first chapter. And that's when I start to see the scenes that come next. I don't know what happens at the end of my stories until I get to the end. And even when I try to think of how to get my characters from A all the way to Z, it is really hard for me to figure out how to make it work. I can't really put the pieces together until I see like little pieces that go together, and then I can start to see the bigger picture as I go forward. But outlining to me is sort of like lining up all of the pieces before you actually connect them and seeing what it is before you actually start to complete the puzzle, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. It's a really bad analogy, but I think you understand what I'm trying to say. It's hard for me to figure out how to do that, and I think one of the reasons is because, one, my brain literally just doesn't work that way. Like, I don't know what's going to happen until I know this piece of the puzzle. So trying to do all of that work up front is really, really challenging. I'm forcing my brain to act in a way that it doesn't normally act. And if I want to continue to be able to outline this novel and potentially future projects as well, then I'm going to have to learn how to do that and make that adjustment. This isn't to say that I'm not enjoying the process of outlining, because I am actually enjoying the process. I like finding out more about my characters, and I really am enjoying like figuring out those little pieces and feeling those like little pieces click together as I'm actually formulating the story and creating these characters and figuring out what the plot beats are going to be. And it's interesting because the more I work on the character backstory, the more I think about my characters, the more I think about my setting, the more I think about the magic that I'm creating in this world, the easier it is for me to actually see what's happening in the plot. And we did talk about this problem on the live stream today, and Cody and Kara reminded me that I don't need to have everything figured out with my characters and magic system and world building before I actually start working on the book, because that's what draft A through Z is for. I don't need to know every single detail, and they are 100% correct. That being said, I still feel like there are certain things that I do need to know in order for me to be able to figure out what is going to happen in the story. One thing, for example, one of the reasons why I like to create a map when I'm creating a fantasy world is because as I'm like filling in the map, sometimes that can spark an idea for a plot point for me. It did spark a plot point when I was creating the map before, so it can theoretically spark ideas like down the line for future plot points. And maybe they might not all go in the book, but I'll take as many ideas as I can get in order to get my characters from A to Z and be able to write the book all the way through without getting stuck and not knowing what comes next. And for example, I really needed to know Rasmus's backstory because he is in the book on day one. Like, he and Delaney are in the first chapter. I know that because today I did figure out what the prologue is going to be and what the opening image for this book is going to be. So I've got 2 scenes already in my head that I need to write for this book. But the only way that I knew that Rasmus needed to be in the first chapter was because I took the time to do his backstory. And so what I'm trying to say is that I know that I don't need to know every single little bitty thing, but I do still think that it's really important for me to know certain things. The problem is I don't know what the things I need to know are yet. I still don't know. So now at this moment in time, like, I know I don't need to do everything, but I feel like I need to do everything because I feel like if I skip out on anything, I'm going to miss something vital and not be able to catch it as I'm working through the novel. This idea is probably bigger than any idea I've ever had before. I'm really excited about this project. I have really high hopes for this project. Like, this project is probably the project, if you know what I mean. I really want it to be good, and I am putting a lot of pressure on myself to make sure that I'm doing it properly, and I am realizing that. And I think that it's good for me to just like take a step back and just maybe take a little bit of a breather and realize like, hey, I don't need to have everything worked out right now. I can work some things out as I go and lean on that pantser side of myself and trust that a little bit more. It feels a little strange to say that because I'm a pantser through and through, and I've trusted myself to do the first draft of Project Daydream as a pantser. I didn't outline that at all. I don't have a single character sketch for that project. Not one. So it's interesting to me that I am not relying on that side of my brain at all, and I think it's because I'm putting so much pressure on myself to make this project good right off the bat that I am maybe developing a little bit of an unhealthy mindset around this project. I recognize that is a fault of mine that I'm having right now, and that I need to just relax and to let myself be flexible in this moment. I could right now theoretically just say, hey, I'm done with the outlining stuff. I'm going to write the prologue and the first scene. I could do that because I have everything I need in order to write those things. I don't need anything else in this moment. I think what I am going to realize at the end of this outlining process is that I need to do as much as I can see needs to be done. The way that I'm thinking about this is sort of similar to when you send your draft off to beta readers. You're not going to send a draft that you know has problems and you know what those problems are. You're not going to send that draft. You're going to send the draft where you have done everything that you can do and you can't see any other problems with your own set of eyes. And I think that that's going to be my stopping point for outlining this novel. That's what I've been trying to say. I really appreciate Cody and Kara's advice because I don't think that I'm going to know everything, and I think that I'll know that when I get to the midway point of this novel, that I'm probably going to look at this and be like, wait, that needs to change, and I'm going to change things and I'm going to move things around, and that's just how it goes. CK's routine is going really well. I just got back from my friend's house. It's currently a little before 7 o'clock. So the rest of CK's writing routine is really just like being at home, making dinner, maybe hanging out with some friends, playing video games, reading, that kind of thing. I'm not really feeling like playing a video game and my head hurts. I have a massive headache. And so I think I might just like curl up and watch a movie or something and just get cozy. And then I'm going to do a little bit of reading because I'm going to start a new book. I just finished The Ghostwriters Club by Cody Wayne Morris. By the way, if you haven't read that book, I highly encourage you to pick it up. You can get it on Amazon or at Barnes & Noble, anywhere you can get books online, you can get that. It is such a good book. It's a really quick read. I think I read it in 3 sittings, and I'm a person where it takes me several months to get through a book sometimes. This was such a quick read, an easy read, a fun read, and a must read, everybody. Like, if you haven't read this book, go to Amazon when you're finished with this video and order that. I dare you. You'll have a good time, I promise. But anyways, I think I'm going to start the newest Hunger Games book, A Sunrise on the Reaping. I have been waiting for what seems like forever to start this book. Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes just wasn't my cup of tea. But I am really excited to read Sunrise on the Reaping. I hear it's fantastic and I cannot wait. So I'm going to read before I go to bed. I will see you guys in the morning. Oh my god, hi, and welcome to day 2 of CK Jensen's writing routine. I must apologize to CK because I am waking up quite a bit later than I wanted to, and obviously I'm already done up and everything, but it's about 8 o'clock, so I'm a little bit behind. I also realized this morning that I was out of coffee, and I need coffee just to function, at least 1 cup in the morning, so I ran out and I grabbed some, and while I was there I just got a latte to tide me over until the matcha this afternoon. That being said, please ignore this very faint stain that you might see on my shirt. While I was walking, someone said good morning while I was mid sip on my drink, and tell me why. I was swallowing and trying to say hello at the same time. I don't know, but I dribbled all over my shirt. So please ignore that. Every single time you look at it, I will curse you. Okay. So CK Jensen's writing routine is, I guess, pretty similar from day to day. Because I woke up a little bit late, I think I'm gonna skip the breakfast part because, one, I'm really not that hungry. I haven't really been feeling well this week. If you're a girl, you know. You know what I'm talking about, okay? And I'm just not, I have no appetite right now. Today's goal is to finish writing the character sketches for the main side characters. There are 2 characters that I need to figure out what their names are and their personalities because they do play a pretty large role at the very beginning of the story. And then I think I'm gonna do some more brainstorming, try to iron out a couple more details and recreate the map that I unfortunately deleted. So that's going to be step number 1, I think. And then I actually think that I'm like really, really close now that I've got all the backstory and a lot of the world building stuff figured out. I am thinking that I am going to start outlining pretty soon. CK did say in their writing routine they often don't write more than they think they can recover from the next day. So I'm not sure how I'm gonna feel since I really didn't sleep very well last night. I'm not really feeling the greatest and I'm not sure how much work I'm gonna get done today, but yesterday was fairly productive. I felt pretty good about things that I got done, so I guess we'll see. But I'm gonna go ahead and just jump into the work portion of the writing routine. I think to start, I'm just gonna figure out those 2 characters that I need to kind of flesh out a little bit, and then I also wanted to kind of iron out one thing in the magic system. I can't really reveal that because it'll give away detail that I'm not ready to share yet, but I also think that now that I've had an opportunity to kind of sleep on the feelings that I had yesterday about my project, I'm feeling really excited to kind of jump back in and kind of iron out some additional details. I'm kind of feeling like I really should be taking Cody and Kara's and my friend Holly's advice and just understand that I don't really need to iron out everything today. I really can just get out what I need right now. And so I think I'm going to focus on trying to adjust my expectations for myself in this process and just work really hard on making sure that I have just enough to start outlining and everything. I also got Save the Cat, so I think some part of today is going to be reading that during the work portion because I am not really sure how to plot. And so I feel like I need some help, and that might be a good resource for me to use. So long story short, I'm gonna go ahead and start, and I guess I will see you guys after. It is currently lunchtime. Problem, I don't have any groceries, like none at all. And all of my dishes are dirty. So I think I'm going to cheat a little bit on a CK's plan. And I'm just gonna go get something. I'm gonna pick something up really quick and then bring it back here to eat. And then I think what I'm gonna do is go out to that cafe that I was talking about earlier. I'm gonna either finish the map or I'm going to work on something else because the map I think is going to be something that's going to take me a little bit to finish, and I don't know that I have that much time left in my writing schedule for the day to actually complete that. I am having a lot of fun making the map though. I always like these sort of like more hands-on creative things that I don't really need to think about too deeply. It's almost like a way for me to refill my creative well because I'm doing something else in a different part of my brain. But I do feel like I need to maybe separate myself from that just a little bit and focus a little bit more on actually creating more backstory for those secondary characters that I mentioned earlier. These characters that I'm going to be creating the backstory for, they are really important to the first part of the book, and I need to figure out what their names are, figure out who they are, figure out what makes them tick, because all of those things are going to be important for my character's like progression through the novel, if that makes sense. Before I go pick up lunch, let's talk a little bit about CK's writing routine really fast because I don't feel like I've really updated you on how I feel about everything so far. I'm really enjoying CK's writing routine. The only thing that I'm not really super fond of in this routine is that because it's the weekend and because I usually do all my admin things on the weekend, like going grocery shopping and like making a plan for the next few days or whatever, I don't have time to do that in their writing plan. So that is a little bit of a struggle for me. Like weekends for me, because I work a 9 to 5, are really those days where I need to like go grocery shopping and things like that. I do think that later tonight when I have my rest time, my fun time, I am going to have to sacrifice a little bit of that because I desperately need to go to the grocery store. I feel like that's kind of evident in this video. It being the weekend, I feel like it would be nice to have some of those things planned into the day. I will say though that I am really enjoying the balance of work and fun time. I feel like I'm pretty good at balancing my time on the weekends just in general, but this kind of gives me a good healthy mixture of work and play or work and rest. And I really am enjoying that. I'm also enjoying the wake up time. I normally get up at 5 a.m. And so being able to get up an hour later, I feel like my body is getting some much needed rest. And it's the perfect time for that, especially since I'm not feeling well. So it is 12:35. I am running out of time and I want to make sure that I have enough time to actually work from like 1 to 4 or 5 o'clock. And so I'm going to get going and go get my lunch and I will see you guys at the cafe.
Way back when, before the grown-up phase, we're one best friend. It was easy going roll. Life was anything but fair, but somehow we didn't care.
Oh my gosh, guys, it's Friday and I just realized that I completely forgot to film a final update and do the what I thought of CK's writing routine part of the video. So in my last update, I talked to you guys a little bit about the fact that I was going to be doing character sketches and working on the map a little bit. I actually ended up getting the emotional wound thesaurus and the emotions thesaurus and using that to help me kind of develop those secondary characters that I was telling you guys about. And I feel like I made some really good progress. That being said, those two characters that I needed to get the backstory on are really going to be very important to the story, particularly to Delaney, my main female character. Something happens between the three of them, and I can't really give away any details as to what that actually is, but it affects Delaney in a big way. What I'm thinking right now is that the interaction between these three characters is really going to propel Delaney forward in the novel and force her to face what she's becoming. Essentially, they're very important to the plot, which is one of the reasons why I was like really thinking that I needed to focus on them, and I'm really actually glad that I did. Sort of how I explained earlier in the video, doing the character backstory is actually really helping me come up with some scenes that I know need to go in the story at some point, or that could go in the story at some point. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm really glad that I took the time to dig into those characters. And I don't think that I'm gonna stop anytime soon because I really think figuring out these little puzzle pieces is really going to help me come up with actual scenes, like good plot points, and not just what I have in my brain dump. Because I did do a brain dump, I think earlier in the week before I started CK's writing routine, and I was telling Hannah that I feel like my brain is just like, okay, this happens, and this happens, and it's not giving, like, I don't have any other option. Doing the character backstory has really helped me to kind of pull myself away from that feeling. Another thing I'm still working on is the map. The map is probably going to take me a really long time to complete. I don't think that that's something that I'm going to be able to just sit down and do in one setting. Unless I can uncover which directions are going to go as I'm plotting and outlining, I don't think that I'll have that map completed until I finish the first draft at the very least. I'm hoping though that it won't take me that long because like I said, I really enjoy doing the map, but I would like to have it done just so that I can go back and reference it whenever I need to. As I was kind of going through and doing that character backstory and creating that map and kind of diving into the emotional wound thesaurus, I did think of a couple other scenes that need to go in, and I actually did outline the first scene and the prologue, which is really exciting because up until that point I just had like a little blurb for the inciting incident, which I still have not actually outlined, but I think that that's probably going to be something that happens this coming up week. I'm coming to the end of needing to do all of this backstory and everything, and I think I'm like pretty close to actually starting to plot. So even though I still don't have a formal outline, I am starting to see the bigger picture, at least for the beginning part or the act 1 part of the novel, which is really cool. So the fact that I'm starting to see act 1 starting to come together a little bit is really encouraging, and I really can't wait to keep working on it. All right, so let's talk about CK Jensen's writing routine for a second. I really like their writing routine. The things that I like the most about it, though, were probably being able to wake up a little later. It was really nice to kind of get some sleep and to be able to just relax a little bit more. They do have a very nice balance of work and rest, or work and play, which I really enjoy. I also really like the fact that they use Pomodoro timers. That's something that I do almost every single time I write, and I really enjoy that. There are a couple of things that I would change about this routine just for myself. I can't like not have exercise planned into my day. I have to give my dog a WALK at least twice a day. He's not the most energetic dog, but he does require a lot of exercise, so that's something that I really like. But it's not just for him though. It's also for me, because I really find inspiration in nature. I find inspiration outside and passing conversation, getting my blood pumping and everything. And it's just really good for not only my physical health, but my mental health. And so for me, I like to have those things like scheduled into my workday as a must do every day kind of thing. One other thing that I would change is sort of funny and petty, but I don't drink matcha. I tried my very best. I tried my very best to drink it, and I wasted $6, you guys, because I couldn't drink it. Unfortunately, I'm just not a matcha drinker, and that's okay. I'll stick to my lattes. I think there are some things that I would use moving forward from their routine. I think keeping a balance of solitary work and work with friends will be really helpful moving forward, just because I really am trying to place more of an emphasis on writing and community, and those two things together, I mean, you can't really lose, in my opinion. It's always nice to have some support when you're writing. It's so fun to write and hear about other people's projects when you're sitting next to them and they're working on theirs. And I think I will probably be doing more of that in the future. I don't know that I would be able to do that every day, because I am also a highly distractible person. And if I had my friend trying to talk to me about their project while I was trying to concentrate, I think I would find that a little frustrating. But for the most part, I think that is something that on certain days I'll be doing more of. Okay guys, I think that's gonna be about it. One thing that I did want to mention first before I hop off today is that I keep forgetting to like plug my other socials. I don't even think half of you know that I have an Instagram, but I do have an Instagram. It's at Charlie Ray Writes. If you want to follow me there, you will get behind the scenes updates for all of the projects that I'm working on. Also pictures of my dog are on there, and then just like some other fun things. If you guys are interested in seeing any of that, feel free to follow me over there. I'm gonna let you guys go. Thank you so much for being here. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. As always, I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!